The Egyptian government is cutting back on fuel subsidies. Oil Minister Tarek El Molla said that this will reduce the funds allocated for fuel subsidies to $4.9 billion from $7.7 billion. However, disgruntled citizens say that the move will further compound economic hardships.
I've been hearing about it being in the citizens' interest, but I really wish it was in the citizens' interests. Up until now, I see no benefit to the citizens. People are tired. I'm very upset, and many people are also upset.
The criticism comes as the North African nation's government implements an IMF-supported economic austerity plan. Egypt has raised gasoline prices by up to 50%. Officials say that the price rises will help save up to $2.8 billion in allocations for state subsidies in the 2018-2019 state budget. The price hike is the third since Egypt floated the pound currency in November of 2016. This is expected to pile more pressure on Egyptian consumers struggling to make ends meet amid high unemployment and rising prices.
Of course, it is a big hike. It is a 35% increase over the value of the gas litre. The litre was for £5 and now it is for £6.75. This means that the increase is 35%.
Aside from rising fuel prices, the government and the new Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli also announced a hike in taxi fares by 10 to 20%. New cuts to electricity subsidies, raising prices by an average of 26% from July. The administration, however, said that bread prices will not be affected by a 50.7% rise in diesel prices, adding that the Ministry of Supply will bear the extra cost for bakeries to ensure that the price of Egypt's main staple remains unchanged. Alexandria, Majalla for CGTN.
Let's now get more from Yasser Hakim, who joins us live from Cairo. So, Yasser, these latest subsidy cuts are part of fiscal reforms, which analysts have argued have helped improve economic indicators such as GDP growth. But we also know they've continually left Egyptians far worse. So how is the government justifying this latest fuel hike?
Yes, it's an ongoing debate and a heated one at the moment because many Egyptians are complaining that the latest cuts are a more burden on prices and will be more inflationary effect. Now, the government is saying, obviously, that all these austerity measures and cuts in subsidies and higher prices are essential, and that this is part of an economic reform plan that should have taken place not years ago, but decades ago, and former presidents were afraid to take that step because of the public backlash. But the government says it has to be taken now or the situation will get worse. So obviously this is one point of it. It's essential economic reforms that are needed, yes, painful, but should be done in order to put the economy back on track and to rebuild the country. Second of all, the government is saying that the billions of dollars that are spent on subsidies, especially energy subsidies, have been draining the budget and have been draining the state and the expenditure. And the money, part of this money will go for the poor who are in real need of subsidies. Because the subsidies now, at the current way or the way that it has been, is on everyone. The rich would be subsidized as much as the poor and even more. But what they're trying to do is actually restructure the subsidies by cutting on subsidies on certain elements and then putting this money into increasing subsidies for the poor, especially food, and also to fund the social affairs and all these social projects that would help the poor, whether financially or to help them have create jobs or SMEs or fund SMEs. So the money will be taken into other sources that are for the more needy, obviously as well to provide the services such as health and infrastructure in the poor villages and the state-owned hospitals. So this is the government's take on this, and that it's saying in 2 years' time or in a year or two everything will be fine and that all Egyptians will feel the fruit or benefit from the fruits of these economic reforms.
Well, there's obviously been positive steps towards economic recovery, Yasser, since these reforms were instituted in 2014. But we do have three challenges. We're talking about the increasing internal and external public debt, the growing budget deficit, and failure, of course, to reach the 5.3% growth rate set in the 2017-2018 budget. So then the question becomes, how does the government plan to reduce the budget deficit and achieve the desired growth rates?
All right, the government says that it's going as it is. The plan is as it is. It has slowed down a bit for several reasons. Like you mentioned, the budget deficit and the debt, the public debt, well, they have not gone to the exact timing that the Egyptian government had hoped. The numbers would be better, but it has slowed down because first of the international prices of oil, for example, which has gone higher than expected in the budget calculations. And obviously Egypt is an importer of fuel, and therefore this subsidized fuel that Egypt imports and subsidizes to the people is now costing higher than what the initial calculations have been put in place. Because the international prices are higher, so it's more expensive. Second of all, obviously with devaluating the Egyptian pound, the devaluation has led to a new price for the Egyptian pound, much lower price, which means that the debt, the public debt has increased, the interest rates have increased, and therefore the budget deficit has increased. However, this is all temporary, as the government is saying. It's only delayed the numbers for a few months or maybe to another. By the end of the next fiscal year, we will find the numbers reaching the targets that the government has put before, and that the growth, the economic growth, would reach the would exceed the 5% probably in the next fiscal year, not this one, but the end of 2018, mid 2019. So it's just about, it has slowed down a bit, but the plan goes as it is, and it will reach that target by the end of June 2019.
All right, Yasser, thanks very much for joining us. Yasser Hakim, live for us there in Cairo.